That's where I moved from before here. Yeah. I'm very glad I moved. Long Island.
You're in jail now, kid.
I feel like whenever I put something in the next bus is live, I think it's like football machine and a smell of 45 minutes, and then an hour and 15 minutes later, they'll tell me to miss
Hi, everyone! Welcome to New Hour. Really happy y'all are here today. This event is co-sponsored by the Chicago Poetry Center and Kundima. It's a very special collaboration, and I am so excited to be with y'all tonight. Just a few things before we start the open mic. We want to acknowledge that this event is being hosted on the unceded traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes, such as the Miami, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee, Sauk, and Fox, also called this area home. This region has long been a center for indigenous people to gather, trade, and maintain kinship ties. Today, one of the largest urban American Indian communities in the United States resides in Chicago, continuing to contribute to the vitality of the city and to celebrate their heritage, practice traditions, and care for the land and waterways. We invite you to explore the unceded homelands on which you find yourself as well, and to take this moment to honor all who came before us, the indigenous peoples displaced by colonization, as well as those who built this country through uncompensated and compulsory labor, those enslaved and those oppressed. We honor those who came before and all those who continue to live on this land as we hold a shared space for art and expression. Thank you. Just a little bit of information about the Chicago Poetry Center. The mission of CPC is to connect people to poetry, equitably engage poets with communities, and foster creative literacy in the city and beyond. There is a little bit of information on our bar. You can scan the QR codes to learn about some of our education programs, some of the public programming we do, such as this event and others. and other ways to get involved with the Chicago Poetry Center. Tonight's reading is co-sponsored by Kundiman Midwest. Kundiman is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to nurturing generations of writers and readers of Asian American literature. Kundiman creates a space where Asian Americans can explore, through art, the unique challenges that face new and ever-changing diaspora. We see the arts as a tool of empowerment, of education, of liberation, of addressing proactively the legacy that we will leave for our future. To extend Kundiman's vision of community building for Asian American writers everywhere, we've developed a national network of regional groups to host their own salons, readings, and workshops. So this is a Kundiman Midwest event. All right. So a little bit of information about Blue Hour. The workshop some of you attended, it sells out really early. We do it before every Blue Hour reading. So sign up early via Eventbrite once you see information about it. And in terms of the reading schedule, next month, our April features are Maya Pindyke and Julian Randall. And then in May, we have Eugenia Lee and C.M. Burrows. We'll take a break in June, and then we'll be back with our really super fun summer poetry party. So we hope to see you then. Woo! Thank you. All right, without further ado, our open mic. Our open mic will include 5 readers, and I'm going to randomly draw from this weird durian thing. Right? What else is it? And then each reader will read one poem of 3 minutes or less, and then we just hope that throughout our open mic and the entirety of the evening, please do what you can to practice self-care. If you need to step out for air or take a break, please do so. There is water in the back, and there are restrooms in the hall just past the lobby. All right, are we ready? I'm gonna pull from the bottom because there's so many on top, and I'll pull from the top later. Our first reader is Bear Jazz. Please welcome Bear Jazz.
My name's Uriel. You wrote my name wrong. My last name is Barajas. It's Spanish, like Spaniard Spanish. But some people at my job don't know how to say it, so they say Bear Jazz. Okay. So I wasn't able to make it for the No Love Left for Love event, but this is one of the poems that I had actually written, and I reworked it recently. This is called Little Truths, also known as an open letter to the one that got away. I don't even wear my heart on my sleeve. I carry it right in hand, and I give it so easily, you'd think I carry spares. I'm tired of asking the universe for things that people can only give me willingly. I don't want to claim anything anymore, or anyone anymore. Every time I do, it gets taken away or walks away. The truth is, I don't know how not to live heartbroken. This world was not made for gentle hearts or kindness. Imagine tasting the most incredible thing in the world and knowing where to find it, but being told that you can never savor it again. That's what loving you feels like. That night you cried on my shoulder, I knew that I wanted to be with you always. I wanted to be your comfort, that I wanted to protect you from what I could. I wanted you to wash over me like waves on sand at the start of high tide, covering me more and more at every embrace. For I too walk with open wounds of the past, and I'd rather have your ocean embrace, clean and salt past injuries shut. They told me that someone would come along, or that I'd find a fire in old embers. But I don't hear anyone's name in the wind anymore. Deep emptiness as phantom pain, where your ear ought to be over my heart, or lips, or my lips hankering for your forehead. A lingering cold next to me where your body should be, when my hands remember every outline. Breath waving across my chest, morning and end with no beginning, painting myself a fool, a jester with a knife at own throat. For we are not ourselves when we're not in control, when we do what we do for love, or the hope for it. To be told that my love seems to feel like a cage, and I'm done trapping wildlife, for a poacher's heart is never esteemed, and yet I wonder how I got here, when it all began with me awed by a heron in a cage. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next reader is Jonathan K.
Thanks. I'll carry on Uriel's note there. This is also a breakup poem. This one's called Fuck the Air You Used. My love left me as I held yet more to give. Blocked on every app because a missed call meant I was out drinking or fucking or giving attention to someone less deserving. Really, my grandfather was asking for presents from the bed he laid in for 3 years and counting. She cursed me for breaking her hope for love, and I told her, love yourself. And fuck the air you used to curse my love before you let it go.
Thank you, Jonathan. Our next reader is Willie.
Oh.
Hello. This is my first open mic. This is not a record poem, but it's a love poem. It's called Lush Life. I sit with a sad song and am filled. Press it to my chest and feel for its cracks and edges, the sharp points hoping to be caught. To bleed both a memory and a surprise, to radiate and exchange such excess. Lush life beckons, and I long for a swaying, to find the warmth of her, layer after layer, remove each compromise and posture until our edges touch, cutting one another. Lush life beckons, and I long for a swing, to give fully, offer up everything and push it through my desperate limbs, touch her with fingerprints hot like iron and exchange brands. Lush life beckons, and I long for a swing, to listen to the subtle wind of her breath as it brushes my lips and whisper heavy words into the gale. Lush life beckons, and I long for a swing, to be carried away, fearless and terrified, across the floor and then onto it, enraptured, finally overflowing.
Thank you, Willie. We've got Deshaun Washington.
Sorry. Well, I'm not gonna read Hopefully it'll break your heart anyway. Bark. In the distance, a cascade of Spanish moss melts into the rippling shade of a live oak tree as nightshade saws through the rusty curtain of sky. The barbed wire of the cicada song chokes the thick neck of wind stomping across riverbanks. Howls of hounds barrel down the mountain's sweat-slick backs with the haste of thunder's whip. Here, a flash of white will make way for a clearing in the woods. A clearing in the woods will make way for a plantation of trees. A plantation of trees will make way for a murder of crows. This is how a forest becomes a gathering of brown limbs stretching north. Thank you.
Thank you, Deshaun. I'm a really big Deshaun Washington fan. That was such a treat for me. All right, last one. Thanks, everyone. I know that 5 certainly isn't enough tonight, but I hope you come back next month if you weren't able to read this time and throw your name in the durian once more. All right. Our final open mic reader tonight is Shivani.
Which one?
You.
Oh,
I don't know.
There's 2 of us.
Hi everyone, I'm Shivani. There's 2 of us tonight. This poem is called An Asparagus Bunch Walks into the Bar and Asks the Bartender. Why do they think I need saving? For a special occasion when I am marked down in the produce aisle by my weight, as if I could ever fluctuate my value? To think I put stock into deliberations of when I'm best in season, I appreciate in the spring. Appraise my speared limbs, stalking out of hibernation, give or take, mid-February, just in time to be drenched in olive oil, slick love, sweeter than any, cliche yet earnest box of chocolates that would snap me weak at the knees. At the far end of the bar, I overhear 3rd date jitters settle, knees knocked, wine flushed. She jokes that I am not on her must-order menu item list. Loves me plenty for first bite, but can't stomach the thought of my fibers making a home between her teeth. Nervous to want something that's rooted in earthy goodness. But me and her are the same, both ready to take off our coats, shoes by the front door, settle into something that feels snug, and stay a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivani. Can we give one more big round of applause for all our All right. So I'm so very excited to introduce our featured readers tonight. First up is Danni Quintos. Danni Quintos is the author of the poetry collection 2 Brown Dots, as well as Python, an ekphrastic chapbook featuring photography by her sister, Shelley Quintos. She is a Kentuckian, a mom, a knitter, and an Appalachian poet. Her work has appeared in Poetry Magazine, Cincinnati Review, Cream City Review, The Margins, Best New Poets 2015, Salon, and elsewhere. Please welcome Danni Quintos.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. Great. I was kind of looking forward to reading with the durian in front of me, but that's okay. Right, so I'm going to read some poems. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me out and giving me an excuse to come to Chicago and see my sister and Lisa and Keen, I guess.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm going to read the first poem in my book, which is Portrait of My Dad Through a Tent Window. Ramirez was on the loose. First name Angel, and the news made him a monster. A cop in my driveway asking Dad if he'd seen this man, but maybe switching his glance back and forth from the photo to make sure my brown dad with long hair wasn't him. Before we knew about this train-hopping killer, Dad bought us a tent with 2 rooms and planted it in the backyard. Shelley and I cracked Sprite cans open, and Dad washed dark red cherries and put them in a bowl for us. Our flashlights made hand shadows into geese and talking dogs, made our ghost story faces monstrous, light shining up our noses. We kept the tent's window unzipped, a gray screen crawling with coppery beetles. The train's wail lulled us asleep, and we could see just beyond their bodies. Dad in the yellow-lit kitchen window, watching the lights jump around the tent. Okay, let's see. Got them all marked. All right, so this next one is Letter to My Childhood Crush after T. Clark. We used to do a lot of prompts together, so this is a T poem. Dear Duke, stop doing karate and flexing your tiny bicep on the playground. Stop buzzing your hair and leaving your bangs long. Stop wearing soccer cleats and tube socks to school. Stop looking through me like you can see the field behind me. Stop telling your little sisters to pinch me as hard as they can with the sharp corners of their nails. Stop smiling at Amelia. Stop making that dimple appear on your left cheek. Stop pretending you didn't get that pink letter I kissed and sent you after I looked up your address in the phone book. Stop pushing your forearm to mine on the playground, saying a brown skin can't marry a white skin. I am the kickball here. I am over the hedges, out of bounds, and you, with arms above your head, run the bases, triumphant. Okay, so I brought my 5-year-old, who is the one who keeps talking. He's also my heckler. He usually heckles me when I'm reading. So I was like, Keen, don't worry, I got this. You don't have to heckle me. So this is his favorite poem. So this one is for Gus. This one is, and he kind of gets it. I should also explain it so you all get it. So this is Ode to Country Dips. Has anybody ever been on a country dip or heard of a country dip before? So I feel like it's like a very Kentucky thing. My sister has been on one too. So a country dip is when usually teenagers or folks in their young 20s go on a car ride out into the country with illicit materials and enjoy themselves. So that's a country dip. All right, Ode to Country Dips. It starts with a Fat J and a playlist, a car full and all the windows down. Take a right on Military Pike, where the traffic lights and rules start to disappear. The roads narrow and undulate, and all our stomachs flip, while we breathe smoke like teenage dragons who love Missy Elliott and peaches. Daryl drives 80 and the trees blur. Katie makes a stop and smell the smell the country air. Says, hear that about cicadas whirring. We watch heat lightning clamor against clouds. We pass tobacco barns printed black and gray on color film. The horse fences are music staffs, guiding us to a crescendo. There's a road called Frogtown Lane, and in the dark we swing a sharp left. The hedges grow around us until a clearing. The bodies of rusted old cars and school buses, the ghosts of girls once on dips before us, red-eyed and smokeful and lungs blaring lyrics. We reverse to escape and find ourselves giddy with relief. And in the stories, we come off braver and bolder than we appeared.
So good.
So AWP was last week, and I was hello here. And Lisa was also, sorry, like a lot of information about you, Lisa, was also pumping. And so I felt like I was like, I'm gonna read this breastfeeding poem. I never read this. So I also plan to breastfeed in like a few months from now. So like, this is like fresh, not so fresh in my memory, but I was like, oh, this is coming back to me.
Can you explain what pumping
I'm
is?
gonna have to remember it. Maybe you can ask after the, you can ask Lisa about it. Okay, breastfeeding. To begin, I was a girl, wet clay sculpted, right, perfect shape for his mouth, sharp little gums, hungry tongue. After, I was always ready, erasers, gumdrops, fingertips. I'm talking about him. In mornings, I'm a cement sculpture of myself, skin taut and often leaking. I am the paper grocery bag whose wet stain grows in the shape of an unknown country. I depend on machinery now, the rhythmic pump whose voice chants, whose plastic horn fills, drop by drop I collect for the hours I am away. Yes, worth it. Yes, proud of every thigh roll's deep crevice, of cheeks like ripe plums. And even if I am deflated like an old birthday balloon, these breasts are full of purpose. Oh body, how you keep on making. Okay, let's see. All right, so I was asking Lisa what poem you all talked about in the workshop. I was like, oh, I'm gonna read that one. So this is Milkfish. And this is after a Cebuano folktale. So I think this isn't my story. I'm adapted as inspired by some Philippine folktales. Milkfish. If your mother craves milkfish when she's pregnant with you, and if the sea stops putting their gaping mouths on your father's hook, and if your father begs the sea for more, he will owe the saltwater something. You, black-haired and 7 years old, will be swallowed by a wave. Forget your best friends or the chapter book you haven't finished. Forget the freckled neck of the boy you stare at during English class and sometimes during mass. Forget, too, your mother's warm hands on your shoulders before she braids your hair into ropes, her ensaimadas sprinkled with cheese and sugar. Your feet won't fit in any pair of sandal or sneaker. You'll feel those bones splay, soft as straw. Maybe you imagine this underwater life as glint and dazzle, scallop shell bikinis, bottlenose dolphins, and pearls plentiful as fish eggs. Instead, the seaweed strangles you in sleep. Plastic six-pack rings handcuff your wrists, and all the skeletons of smaller fish tangle in your hair like ugly combs. Cola cans are the only sparkle, twisting their bodies into blades in the sand. When the moon is a white circle, your feet will come back. Walk to your old house where your father disappears into a quiet nothing and find your mother still cooking milkfish. Milkfish, stuffed and baked, fried in oil, pickled in vinegar and garlic, bodies not unlike your own. So I'm gonna do something that I haven't really done since my book came out, which is read a couple new poems. I was like, whenever someone's book comes out, they're like, I got some new stuff. I'm like, how? You just made that book. So I'm gonna be brave and do it. I took like a virtual Filipinx lit class with Barbara Jean Reyes last summer, and I was like writing stuff, and that was exciting, but it's the only time. So I'm gonna try out some new poems on you. So this first one is an ode to Rufio. Is anybody familiar with the Rufio classic? Yeah! So Dante Basco, one of my very first like celebrity crushes. He was Rufio in the mid-90s Hook. And yeah, just like seeing a Filipino face in the movies for the first time, I was just like, yes. And also like my heart, right? So this is Ode to Rufio for Dante Basco. Remember how he glides in and you see his red shoes first. Hear Robin Williams say, wow, that is so dangerous. Yeah. You hear the lost boys reverence, Rufio! And awe as they stare. The coolest kid, the one in charge. Even grown Peter Pan tries to belittle him. Mr. Skunk Hair with too much moose, he says. You are just a punk kid. Tries to mansplain, make it about the law. Rufio yells, kill the lawyer! And all grown-ups are pirates. And if we look closer, we see the brown kid whose Filipino nose and dark eyes and heavy eyeliner sent millions of crush bars so high, easily defeated by the white guy, replaced, submissive. We watch him bleed out and die, and if this wasn't Peter Pan's story and Rufio's instead, the boys would have taken over the white boomer pirate brigade. Rufio, armed with bolo, would douse Hook in enough patisse for the crocodile's tongue. Rufio would have a pet python who would eat Peter Pan whole. His red shoes and hair represent the blood of his enemies, not his own demise and surrender. Everyone on the island would chant his name with a long "oh" at the end. Watch him fly and flip in the air, not wait for a dead white guy to save him. All right, and then I have one more new one, and then I'll read a couple old ones to close. All right, this is an answer. How many times have I answered where I'm from in this town where I was born? The people want to know where I'm from before I was born. They want to know how I existed before this physical body covered in brown skin. Before I crowned from my mother's body, I was braised in broth. I was a sticky fly on a carabal's eyelash. I was a guava leaf traveling down a creek. I was a puff of smoke from my Lolo Mario's tricycle. I was a plastic bag of Pandesal crumbs, a bottle of ash from Mount Pinatubo, a blurry photo of New Year's fireworks. I was an electric fan blade spinning and spinning the hot air around the room. All right, so 2-poem warning. All right, so for my penultimate poem, this one is self-portrait as Manananggal. I don't know how many folks are familiar with the Manananggal. I got really interested in like monsters and Philippine folktales. So I always like kind of relate her to a vampire. She's very vampire-like in that she like does stuff at night. She sucks people's blood and like the life out of them. She has bat wings, but she also splits in half at the waist. And the top half of her flies around and does stuff, and her legs just chill. I also like wanted to reclaim her because I feel like she is like one of those monsters that is used to blame women for things that are not our faults. And I also like the idea of like someone who has to split in half, which is a metaphor for being Asian American. So this is self-portrait as Manananggal. They ask me where I'm from, and the answer is hundreds of years old. Is that last name Spanish? From Spain? I sharpen my claws and answer carefully. Originally, I say, because colonization. They tell me they need to read up on that. When I split in two, they don't understand. They speak louder and slower. They explain what should be done instead. Where are you really from? Or, I don't see color. I leave my brown legs and ass in a secret place and rise above, meaning aerial, bat's eye view, inhaling through my nose and counting to 10. I come back and combine with myself. I fill in the bubble marked other. I use a hyphen. In the Philippines, they deter me with seasoning, salt, garlic, ash. They reflect me ghostly on billboards, erase my melanin with papaya soap and Photoshop. Here, I am repelled by questions, mispronunciation, fetish, and the phrase, I know how it feels to be. All right, so my last poem is like my sister came out because she lives in Chicago and she's nice. So this is like a very sister poem. This poem is about skin bleaching, which is a thing that is very popular in countries where people naturally have a lot of melanin, or have melanin, more melanin. And so when Shelly and I went to the Philippines, we needed to buy face lotion. We could not find any face lotion that didn't have some kind of bleaching component in it. And it's not subtle. The commercials are everywhere. They're just be beautiful and white. So this is kind of about that. This is called Pond's White Beauty. My sister and I watch a commercial. Twin Filipino beauties washing their faces. They splash water like diamonds, velvety suds, black hair and smooth pink apple cheeks, both paler than any relatives we've met here, paler than the quiet Welsh and Japanese blood in both of us. On the screen, a blind date in a blazer rings the doorbell. The more porcelain sister answers. Her fluorescence lights his stupid smile. The door opens wider to reveal her apricot twin, flushed with melanin next to the sharp, pallid sister. The man frowns. We frown, knowing that the next scene will be the sister sharing her secret potion. Just use Pond's White Beauty Fairness Cream to bleach the sun from your skin, to make you milky translucent. On the second date, he sees them both, glowing ghostly identical, laughing at how beautiful they've both become, unable to tell which girl is his date. We are two sisters in the middle of the world, where the sun paints us bronze. In the dark instant between commercials, our brown faces appear in the TV's glass, where their blanched and smiling ovals once shone. Thank you.
Danny, thank you so much. What a treat. Oh my goodness. All right. I am really happy to be able to introduce the next reader, Kien Lam. Kien is the author of Extinction Theory, winner of the 2021 National Poetry Series from University of Georgia Press. He received his MFA from Indiana University and is the Kundiman SoCal co-chair. Yay, co-chairs! Co-chair from the Midwest. Kien's poems have appeared in Poetry, The New Republic, The Nation, and elsewhere. He lives in Los Angeles, where he most recently worked in esports and television, and is currently working on a novel. Please help me welcome Kien Lam.
Before again, I just want to say thank you to the Chicago Poetry Center. Thank you to Helene for the invitation. Thank you to our interpreter. They actually sent an email asking if I could send the interpreter the poems ahead of time to make it easier. And I forgot. I told him the boo candy earlier. So it's kind of backfiring right now. But I just put him out of thumb wrestle, and I'm way better. Yeah, again, thank you all for being here today. I flew in from LA just yesterday. I'm staying with my buddy Josh and his partner, and this morning he woke up at 5 a.m. this morning to do 8 surgeries. And so I'm about to read 8 poems. I think it's really severe in scope. So I'm going to read mostly poems from the book, and then inspired by Dan, I'll read a new one as well. Actually, I got them yesterday, and I immediately went and got dinner with my ex. It went very well, but she told me maybe cut back on the God complex bit a little bit. So this poem's about my modesty. It's called Big Bang Theory. In the beginning, there was me. Thank you for that. Small creature floating in a wet universe, then light and sound, and God was there. But he looked like my father. Like he'd been smoking since he was a kid. His breath, the 8th day of creation. Which is the first time he wondered what it meant to love a man.
what it meant to open his heart to the Lord. This is how a universe begins. Some bloody animal inches out of a womb gasping for breath. Some deity's brain spills ink all over a clean sheet of paper. All of life compresses into a single molecule, the dotted I. Everything in the present tense until a non-stop explosion scatters the matter into planetary systems set to embrace life. It's a miracle when I look back that far and know my father would one day sit on our back porch in his denim jacket and press smoke through the screen door like he wanted to make a new system for breathing. If it's true, the old scriptures, that man was made in the image of God, then God might be gay and grayed with 4 kids set against an infinite backdrop of space and love and smoke. This poem's called Apogee, and it's, there's an epigraph in it from one of my best friends. She would be very offended when I said one of them. From my best friend, Emily Young. Did you ever meet her? Emily Young and Yoon. Books great, cruelty special rare species. Don't tell her I said one of my best friends. But her epigraph is, let us eat what makes us holy. I am holy-tongued, for God has found his way from my mouth, where I've said his name again and again. This is how Moses parted the Red Sea. He said God, until the dry air parted the water. A strong enough thirst becomes faith. This is how I learned English. Chanting the alphabet until it felt natural, like language is something you are born with and not given or taken. Now, when I try to remember the exact moment I stopped thinking in Vietnamese, and how that must have been the borderline of my migration. On one side, me, God blessed and assimilated. On the other, the boy I am trying to remember. If it was fear or curiosity that held me when I first heard English. If such forced consumption meant bravery. I mean, what else does a follower do? Walk. If the man they're following splits the sea. I was thinking about this earlier, like poets spend so much time crafting like the perfect order for their book, and then they go up here and read, and it's like completely out of order. So why did I do that? Well, anyone worked in fast food industry here before? Okay, yeah. So this is basically just that my family has a tradition where both me and both of my brothers worked at the Taco Bell my mother worked at. I'm not gonna spoil this. Is cool. Ode to working at Taco Bell with your mother, who's called Mom by other coworkers. So you wonder if you could call her something else to make them think you had that special mother-son bond you see on the Discovery Channel. When blue whales offer 100 gallons of milk each day to their offspring. Can you imagine 100 gallons of milk? And show them the migratory routes coded into their DNA, which is not too different from your mother sliding you a little extra food when you take your break. Family legends say you were born, sorry, anybody likes Taco Bell, straight out of a bag of ground beef, in spite of regulations, and the meat, if you can call it that, tasted fine. And in spite of the strict codes your boss maintains, the plastic bag of meat still looks like a plastic bag of meat. Which is to say, it looked like it just crawled out of some creature's womb. Which is why you lie in bed sometimes in the middle of the night and your stomach growls for that 4th meal and think all the nasty shit that must be part of your genetic composition. The kettle flash minced and salvaged, picked clean off the bone, the mystery chemicals, the mixture of sweat and blood, all the stupid things you placed in your mouth, all the times you said, Mom, she turned her head to look at you, to see what you want. This poem's called Love Theory. It's loosely about my mother and also my bad dating decisions. Actually, I think I make good dating decisions. That's what I told myself. When I butt dial my mother, I am drunk and trying to convince the woman I am seeing that I am trustworthy. I really am. She comes back 3 times and leaves a voicemail before I realize my mistake. She says she hopes everything is okay. When I call her back, I only tell her, I'm sorry, can't hear you. It was an accident. Love you. Then I hang up and wonder if this is how we will spend the rest of our lives. One accidental phone call at a time. When the man selling Korean barbecue tacos finishes setting up and no one else is in line, I know tonight is not a mistake. The woman I've been seeing tells me she wants to trust me. My tongue pulls the pork from the taco shell. When I think too much about what I'm eating, I stop eating. She says she wants to give us a shot. But I think she means I need my leg punctured, so I might stay in one spot. When I take another shot of whiskey, it's not what anyone wanted. I kind of want it now. If I say love her, I mean I love her. When I say I love her, I don't know who I'm referring to. If I say love, I mean I want to be trusted. I want someone to let me tie them to a string and reduce their weight to paper. Turn them into a kite and let me run beneath them until they miss the easy way the foot trusts the ground. I want to pull them down and be the first extension of the earth they touch. There you go, a new poem. I haven't read this to anybody, so I mean, it might be awful. Has anyone been in an earthquake before? Okay, so a few of you. It's like, I feel like it's like, so I grew up in the Midwest, and I think you learn to like first time you hear tornado warning, it's kind of scary. As a kid, you have to like put them over your head or whatever. But eventually it's like, tornado warning goes off, and you just like, at your computer or whatever. But now, like earthquakes, I think have a reverse effect. Where the first time you're like, oh, whatever, this is kind of fun. But as it keeps happening, it gets like progressively more and more scary. This one's called Murmurs, and this is a shout out to anybody who's ever been in love with somebody who's unavailable for any reason. This is about my friend now. Murmurs. In the brief moment when an earthquake begins, the primal part of the heart wonders if this is the one. Or the tiny rumblings will amount to no more than a bird slamming headfirst into a window, or a laundry machine jumping up and down, or a dishwasher, or a violent shiver, or the neighbor dragging their thunder across the floor until it pushes through your ceiling. I am looking at a married woman and thinking, this is the one. And wanting it to be instead the ceiling. Shoving the neighbor's thunder back into the floor, or a violent shiver, or a dishwasher, or the jumping laundry machine, or the bird peeling itself off the ground, and in a daze, still manage to spread its wings to return to the sky, where its little bird brain will forget the great humiliation of being humbled by something it cannot see. And there, in the sky, it could watch when it really is the one. And the world below shakes as the sky remains untouched and just out of reach. This poem is called Quantum Jump. This is a shout out to anybody who's dealt with about depression, which as writers feel like it's probably all of us. Especially after COVID. It's like if you went through COVID and you came out fine, like maybe you'll see somebody, you know? Quantum Jump. Can I get my water actually? Thank you. Excuse me for a second. Quantum Jump. I am false bravado. More than whatever regular bravado is. Whatever creature can rise from its sleep each day unchanged by the earth's tilt. And if I say I'm not suicidal, maybe I'm fooling nobody. There's something to be learned from watching a fly slam itself into a screen catcher over and over. The little grid, a net that just found itself caught behind. Even if the net's been there the whole time. If there's a way in, then there must be a way out. And if there's a way to catalog the small bits of joy each day, a little note here about catching the fly in a cup and letting it live for a while longer, a note there on how to fold these moments away into my palms, the way children catch fireflies and tell the little doubters in the pews of their bodies that bugs will light their nights forever. This faith, this understanding that the tails flickering are so much bigger than the stars that come out every night when you hold them close to your face. This perspective, the kind of science children will believe in until they are older and tall enough to face the night. When the distance separating the foot and the sky is the smallest it will ever be. I understand someone invented the plane. I understand there are many ways to leave the ground. I have jumped. I have hung from a tree branch. I have never landed in the same spot. This one's, any gamers in here? Any people that are gamers? I play like two, those are only like two of you who raised your hands, so the rest of you like got your shit together. So I play a lot, I work in the gaming industry, I play a lot of games, and I don't, like, gamers have like this reputation for being like kind of gross, like grimy, young people, and I have to report to you, unfortunately, that is true. This poem's called Apocalypse with Crumbs. God needed to chew with his mouth closed, such that little crumbs didn't fly off his tongue and turn into little birds, not out of desire and necessity. Such that dinosaurs aren't just a lick of drool running from his mouth, which swallowed the Cretaceous era in one gulp. Evolution is Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam, except with the T-Rex's claw touching a bird's wing, and the bird's wing touching the sun, which touched Icarus all the same. Folly, a repeating strand of DNA. See all the wars in human history. See all those people building upon each other's deaths. See me in my underwear grinding my teeth against a Nature Valley granola bar. All the crumbs and avalanche. What a fine display of hunger, of avarice. I am watching the world's next great extinction. The oceans are rising, the air is warming, so much of the earth is now being consumed by humans. Shame on you all. I can only hope that once we are swallowed again, something with wings and a pleasant morning song will drip back toward the earth. This will be my second to last poem. I'm always like a little afraid of this one because it kind of calls out white men. This is called Guerilla Theory, not like the monkey, but the other one. But also the monkey, so it's like the largest primate in the world is the white man's ego. It has learned thousands of English words it employs every day in an attempt to fill the silences of the world. Hello, child plant. Hello, human. So began the system of naming, so fell the Tower of Babel. Nature took over. I saw a monkey's face when I looked at a cloud, but my mother couldn't even make out the head. Someone looked at a tree and called it a tree. Someone else looked at a tree and called it whatever the word for tree is in Vietnamese, which I don't remember anymore. And the word for that loss is too big to fit into a single word. It unrooted itself from my tongue and replanted itself into different dips of the English language. I have been engaged in guerrilla warfare ever since. My first teacher had me recite the beginnings of the alphabet. The letters were dropped out of bombers. I am full of holes and dormant landmines, so if a guerrilla rises from the foxholes, there are no warnings. It is the kind of predator that strikes from behind. And when I turn toward the drumbeat of its feet, the loud thunder song sung behind the trees, I see only its path. The jungle undone, the soil pressed a little deeper into itself and into it. This is my last poem. Apparently it's not. My marker poem. I've used like these like post-it notes, and they've seen better times. This last poem, I think I might have actually read 9, so you were counting, and you're like, man, this guy's a liar. What? Men black, we used to. Anagrams. So so when I first started writing poetry, this kind of reminded me of that. I have this idea that like I'm gonna start with a joke, and as soon as I figure out why it's not funny, that's when the poem ends. And so this is kind of, which is like I think comedians do that as well, and I feel like they're all depressed for some reason. Anagrams. I am an anagram of my father. In America, it is anapound. It is an archaic system of measurement. I have my father's eyes. I made up letters I didn't learn until I was 5. A is for assimilation, which is an anagram for cultural exorcism. If I say I'm glad I can speak English, I mean to say English is an anagram for God's tongue. I mean to say I don't believe in people who expect to be trusted. My father gave me a chili pepper and told me it was sweet. He showed me the plant it grew on, its stem striking the sky like lightning. Like the pepper that would burn my tongue is 1 in a million. Million is an anagram for poor, which is an anagram for telling restaurants it wasn't 10 to get the kids' buffet price until I was 14. At 14, lying became an anagram for divorce. Divorce became an anagram for beginning, as in the beginning, there was light. And light said, let there be God. And God said, let there be life. And my father said, let this pepper teach you humility. There are days where I'm bilingual and days where I don't speak with my parents. My father saw my mother as an anagram for love. This is not how it works. Dad is an anagram for ad. I've been piling the letters into my mouth for a long time, and I still can't make a good anagram for love. There's evol, which is an abbreviation for evolve, which is an anagram for aging, which is an anagram running from your birth. The start gun, the sound off, you breathing harder each step. It is easier to be struck by lightning than to win the ladder. You stand in an open field with your hands pressed in prayer, arrowed above your head towards the sky, and you say life when you mean life. You say light when you mean life. You say God when you mean good. You say Father when you mean further. And you say you when you mean I. Thank you.
Big thank you to our readers, Danni Quintos Kien Lam, to our interpreter, Annie. To Christina and Chris for helping out with the event. My name is Helena Chanzar. I'm the director of programs at the Chicago Poetry Center. I'm also the Midwest chair for Kundiman. So, chat with me about the orgs, chat with the poets about their work. Come by next month for our workshop and reading. We've got beer and wine and water for sale. We've got bathrooms. And sign up for our mailing list if you're not already on it. Keep in touch with us. We've got plenty of cool stuff in store. And enjoy the evening. Make a new poetry friend.
Danny's got books you should buy.
Danny's got books, and she'll sign them back there at the table.
I forgot to bring, Amazon, whatever. Ethical consumption under capital.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night.